listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
And welcome to another edition of West Coast Bias, presented by Baseball Isn't Boring. We had Joe Beimel on, the hold guy, long relief guy. Now we're going to the closer. Eric Gagne joins us for a few minutes. Eric, thank you for joining us and chatting all things World Series.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I wanted to ask you something before we chat about the series, and this is going to tie into the series. I talked with Joe about kind of the intensity of postseason baseball and kind of how locked in you are. You had an insane run, right? You had a wild run where you converted a whole ton of saves, even one had subtle flex. You have a Cy Young award. How locked in were you during that run?
You're trying not to wake up, and you really want to make sure that all the little things around the game, that doesn't matter much, that you're trying to just tune everything out. And, you're locked in. You're really locked in. I mean, you feel like you can't be hit. You feel like you're invincible on around. And every game, every time you do a little bit better and a little bit better every day, the confidence grows. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I was lucky enough because I had, the Adrian Beltres of the world, I had Alex Cora, Cesar Aristides playing behind me, Dave Roberts. So, that streak of 84 was amazing, but for me, it was unbelievable. I don't even know how that was possible, but you got to have the guys behind. So, but like you said, being in the zone, being locked in. I mean, you can use all different kind of words, but that's exactly what it was, and it's pretty amazing because it's hard to get in that zone, and you try not to pinch yourself and get out of it.
So when you were in that zone, kind of, and thank you for helping me make my job easier because this is going into again the World Series. You talk about the support that you had behind you, right? You're locked in. Granted, different era than it is now, right? Now we have social media, we have Twitter, everything, right? Jabronis like me that are talking, shop. With all that noise, was it easier or harder to kind of stay locked in with kind of all of that around you?
It wasn't too bad, to be honest. I mean, I really focused, the cliches of one pitch at a time. And the good thing is when I pitched, every time we were winning. So for me, it was trying to preserve the win, trying to go out there and really keep the momentum on our side. I mean, everybody knows when you lose a game in the ninth inning, when you have the lead and you lose it, it hurts the team. Really, the momentum you got going. For some reason, losing 10-0 is one thing, but losing 1-0 or 2-1 in the ninth inning, that's a big difference. So, to me, I just try to stay focused, trying to do my job, and really focus as a team. Team-oriented focus.
You talk about some of the supporting cast you had back in the day. You had some dudes around you, right? This team currently, they have some dudes. We have some guy named Shohei Ohtani. He's okay. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. The list goes on, right? Postseason Kike, the bullpen themselves, they have a bunch of dogs in there too. We saw yesterday that Dave Roberts is trying to keep the guys loose. Along that run that you kind of had, again, you talk about it, you're locked in, you're focusing every pitch. How important was to kind of keep loose in that same breath as also being locked in?
I mean, that's what I think about Dave Roberts. The way why he's going to be a Hall of Fame manager is because he keeps the guys loose. He makes them perform. And how do you do this? Is to make sure that the guys are comfortable. I mean, we know each other well. We go there since February. We're together 10, 12 hours a day. I mean, it's a family in there, and it's something that you want to make each other comfortable, whether it's a rookie that's not doing very well the last couple of days, 0 for 4, 0 for 8, whatever. You try to keep him occupied, keep him, make sure that it's not that big of a deal. So a lot of times you're just trying to stay loose. There's different type of personalities. There's guys that need to focus, guys like Kevin Brown. You can talk to him on his start, but you go on days off where he wasn't pitching, he was super nice. So there's different type of personality that you really have to manage. And I think that's what the Dodgers are doing so well. And you see them, even the Blue Jays right now, you can tell how much fun they're having and how they're glued together. They're really good core players. And I think that's how he built culture. And that's what the Dodgers have done for a long, long time. And that's the difference. So get everything out of your players to make sure that they perform to the level that you're looking at, that you're expecting. you got to keep them loose. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the score or who's going to win or lose. You just got to go out there and have fun and do what you're good at, and just let the talent speak for itself.
And to your point, I even said this to Bima when we talked. It's funny, kind of the parallels of these two teams. The Dodgers have a good culture. The Blue Jays have a good culture. They have, I mean, Dontrell Willis said this a long time ago, and I've just never forgot about it. They also have Mercedes and BMWs on the other side too, right? And so, so it's one of those where I think they're more parallel than we think. But right now, I feel like, and I may be reading into this a little more than I should. I feel like the Blue Jays are capitalizing on the mistakes right now more than the Dodgers. Would you say that's fair to kind of look at it that way?
100%. And you look at the last game when Snell, the first three pitches, 2 home runs. I mean, it's not like he pitched bad. He just came out there and, the ball ran into the bat and they went out of the ballpark. So I think, playoff baseball, that's the biggest difference. And those small details, all those details, get the guy over, make sure you catch the ball, those PFTs. We saw the Dodgers move into the next round to the World Series because of PFPs. So, I mean, you got to really focus on the little things. And sometimes, we think that stage is a little bit bigger, so we try to do a little more, and that's when stuff happens. So I think that, like you said, keeping the guys loose, make sure that how good we are as a team, and just go out there and have fun and compete, and that's really all you're trying to do. But those little mistakes make a huge difference. You have 162 games of baseball that sometimes those details you kind of forget about it because the dog days or summers you kind of get a little flat. You don't focus as much, but the awareness right now and the level of concentration right now, it's at top. Even though the guys are crazy tired, you got 18 innings and they've been playing all year round, they're really focused, and that's why you see the difference. That's why playoff baseball is so fun, because those small little details make a huge difference at the end.
In this World Series, has anything surprised you with either team?
Everything is surprising right now. I mean, the games have been unbelievable. Like everybody else, I thought the Dodgers were going to take the series pretty easily. Not to underestimate, baseball's baseball. It's played between the lines, and you can't just go out there and predict stuff because it's always the opposite sometimes when you're trying to predict things. And it's just the games, the quality of the baseball that's been played. I mean, the Shohei Ohtani show, it's ridiculous. I mean, just to watch him play, for me, it's just an honor to be alive and watch this guy play. And then you see the Dodgers lineup. It's unbelievable what they've put together. I mean, you can't ask any more as a baseball fan, because you got a Canadian team, you got the Dodgers, which is one of the greatest franchises in sports history, facing each other, U.S., Canada. It's beautiful. It's fun to watch. And that's what baseball is so poetic. And so you go out there, you watch the game, and you see things that you've never seen before. I've seen millions of games in my life, and you watch that, and you're like, wow, I've never seen that. And it keeps getting better, and I think the fans are very, very fortunate.
When you watch these games, just to kind of get inside the head of Eric Gagne. Well, I guess game over in this case with the way I'm going to phrase this question. Do you sit there and kind of armchair quarterback and say, hey, this is how I would have pitched to this guy, or how I want to pitch to this guy? Do you ever kind of find yourself doing that stuff?
I kind of tried to do it before. I don't look after, because before it's easy. But of course, as a fan, I'm looking out there. I'm second guessing every pitch. I'm second guessing every Dave Roberts decision. I'm second guessing when Shohei Ohtani stole second base and I got caught. I mean, of course you do that. That's the fun part of baseball. That's why I don't like the clock. I like when it's a little slower, so you can have a conversation between pitches, between plays, between at bats. And I think that's the beauty of baseball. Everybody's a great second guesser. And, that's, of course, I go out there, I think, as how would I pitch to whoever, and that's at the plate in certain situation. And I try to put myself in, Snell's shoes or, Tana's shoes, and just see what I would do if I was them. So that's why I love watching playoff baseball, because you're really trying to put yourself in their shoes, and it's unbelievable.
So with that said, with a guy like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., what would your approach be with that guy?
Well, I faced his dad, and he's I wouldn't say a lot more disciplined, but he's a little bit more disciplined. But the way we pitched against his dad was literally you throw a first pitch curveball, you hope he takes it, and then you try to walk him, and he's going to swing at everything. That's different with Vladimir. Vladimir's got a lot more discipline than his dad does. I think that the guys around him are a lot better. I mean, it's difficult to pitch to him, but he's got holes. I mean, it's like anybody. I mean, he's not Barry Bonds yet. I mean, he might get there at some point. But it's a tough team. I mean, like the Dodgers, there's no break in this lineup, and they play the game right. They sacrifice themselves for the team, and you can tell the reason why they win is because they play as a team. But Vladdy is just a special player, and we all get to see it, which is very very cool.
The reason I ask you that question is I feel like everybody on the internet, kind of like you were saying, is saying, "Hey, why are they pitching to this guy? Why are they not pitching? Why are they doing this?" It's tough too because just like Otani, he's also protected, right? You got
Of
dudes
course.
around him where it makes it tough to really like it makes it harder to say, hey, 4 pitches. Otani, I think Otani's a little bit of an outlier, right? He's left-handed. There's
Mhm.
not a lot of dudes that really own Otani, like when you kind of look at it, and the analytics would probably say that Otani probably has less holes, not by much than Vladdy Jr. But even then, right? Like you said, and it's funny that you say that too. I was thinking because having worked with his daddy, he's a little quicker than his daddy too, right? So it's
Yeah.
there's little things that make, but that's the thing that also makes him special because he has a lot of his dad's attributes with just a
Mhm.
little more kind of oomph to them, right? And so this Blue Jays lineup, kind of what I see is they're being more aggressive. The Dodgers are clearly, swinging at bad pitches. They're not swinging at strikes. They're making those mistakes, and I feel like really where it's at now, we can kind of litigate this however we want or second guess it however we want. Really, what it comes down to now, it's kind of put up or shut up. You have to execute now in order to play tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's not about Vladdy. It's not about Shoei. It's not about anybody. It's about the team. And I think you see it now. I mean, you're going to have to get the guys over. You're going to have to sacrifice yourself for the team. And that's what the Blue Jays have done very well. That's why they're overperforming right now. And in my opinion, they're an amazing team. It's not, I don't mean to say that they're not as good as the Dodgers, but when you look on paper and you see the Freemans, the Mookie Betts, the Otani, and, like you said, Kike, playoff Kike is out of this world. It's to me, you got to do those little things. And I think that's the difference with Vladimir and Bichette now start to swing the bat a little bit better. So they're dangerous. I mean, you have no holes, and the whole lineup, both sides, are very, very, very powerful. And they can hurt you in a lot of different ways. They can run a little bit. They're smart players. And it's just really, it's a treat to watch because, I mean, we always looking for who's going to win, who's not. But I watch for quality baseball. We're watching quality baseball. The bullpens. I mean, we talked about the Dodgers' weakness was the bullpen, and they've been doing really, really good. So you never know. I mean, you got to go out there and perform and just leave it all between the lines, and that's what both teams are doing. But it's hard. I mean, like you said, I mean, all the hitters got protections. They're all really, really complete lineup, and it's a fun fight.
For the bullpen, real quick, we'll talk about that 18 inning battle. Will Klein pitched the game of his life, and he may have
Mhm.
pitched himself into a little bit of money. So shout out to Will Klein. But with that said, that's a really long game for not just the offense and the deep, like for everybody, right? For something like that, talk to us about kind of the emotional exertion that you have because the game ends and oh, we have to play a little later
Mhm.
today. What's something like that, like mentally and physically?
It's tough, but that's what we do. I mean, that's why we get paid the big bucks. We have 162 games a year. We have all spring training. We're geared to do these things. I mean, at 18 innings with that much high leverage situation is very difficult mentally. I mean, they're going to feel it at the end of the year. They're going to feel when the World Series is done on Monday. They're going to go home. They'll be like, wow, the whole adrenaline's going to stop, and they're gonna need the days off for sure. But I mean, it's difficult just to bounce back. But I think you saw the Dodgers were a little bit flat the next day. I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't come out to play hard, but they're a little flat. I could tell like the energy was not as high. But it's a playoff baseball. I mean, no one cares. No one cares about injuries. No one cares about energy level. Everybody's tired. Everybody's sore. Everybody's hurting. Now it's all about adrenaline and execution and concentration. I think that's why you see such a good series.
With the bullpen kind of performances that you've seen this series, because obviously that one of the things that everyone going into the series, they were worried about that the
Mhm.
bullpen was either, I mean, obviously we can all sit here and say from afar as fans, as people that watch the game, that they're just not doing their job. Obviously they know better than anyone. They're just not going out there and doing what they need to do. Have you been surprised by anything that the bullpen has done?
I mean, they all get really good players back in the bullpen. I mean, it's not like they're not good. I mean, we're looking at performance because we're looking at past history. We're looking at statistics and everything, but you guys look at the stuff. The stuff is out of this world. I mean, they all have really, really good arms in there now to perform under pressure, to make sure that you have timing on, you have timely pitching. That's what they've been doing both sides. And let's not forget, I mean, they're major league players. I mean, we all think that it's that easy, and we're looking at statistics and this and that. At the end of the day, you got to hit that ball. That's a small little circular ball that you have to hit on this, on a sphere and on a little, on a bat that is coming at 100 miles an hour. It's not that easy. So I think as pitchers, when you go out there, sometimes we give the hitters too much credit, and I think that's kind of what happens sometimes when you go out there, overthink everything. And the Dodgers have been doing a really good job at throwing strikes so far. They've been throwing strikes. They've been, attacking the hitters, and I think that's why you see a lot of success. I mean, it's pretty simple in the bullpen. You got to attack. You got to throw strikes. You got to get ahead of the count, and I think that's what both sides have been doing.
Eric Gagne, the pride of suburbia Montreal, joining us here for a few minutes on a West Coast Bias. Canada's a very, very unique place. You hail from the same high school as one Russell Martin, or Martine, I'm sorry, is how you say it in your native tongue. You have people that have come out of Canada, like Eric Sear and other kind of, Steve Green, Canadians. Those are deep cuts, but those are guys that you and I both know.
I can't believe you know all these names. That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, we had Greeny and Sear together in Anaheim, so that's why.
Cool.
But with all that said, right, Canada, you if you've ever been to a Blue Jays game, it's really cool. That venue's cool. That place is rocking. It's incredible. But Canada also, I mean, there was also at one point the Montreal Expos, right? RIP Montreal Expos. But Canada actually shows up everywhere for the Blue Jays. Like I've heard of people going. Byman was saying when they played in Seattle that people would just show up and they're just decked out in Blue Jays gear, and they back that team. Dodger fan, we all know how Dodger fan travels, how respected that you see the Dodger hat more and more worldwide. But for those of us that are not from Canada or have not spent time in Canada, talk to us about how the support of the Blue Jays also is a little different than it is for the Dodgers.
Well, it's Canada's team. I mean, it's very simple. We have one team to get behind, and that's the Blue Jays. Of course, like you talked about the Expos, that really, really hurt baseball in Quebec. But that's Canada's team right now. The Blue Jays are doing an amazing team. They're representing the country so well. I mean, the way they play, the way they speak, the way they behave, the way their professionalism. I'm proud to be Canadian and watching these guys play. It's very impressive. But you got to remember, we're blue collar. Canada's very blue collar. They love sports, and if the Expos would have been there this year, would be in the league still, that would be unbelievable. Because I mean, we are all huge sports fan. I mean, that's just the way it is. You look at hockey; it's a religion for us, and baseball. I mean, the Blue Jays have done a great job to really bring the attention on the Jays. I mean, they've done a great job. Put a lot of money into the team. They've spent a lot of money. They're improving the stadium. Rogers, that owns the team, the TV rights and everything. They're doing a really good job to promote the Blue Jays. And you know what? They're putting a good product on the field. That's all you're asking for. I mean, for me, if I'm a paying customer, I'm a Blue Jay fan, I want to see quality players on the team. They spend a lot of money on Vladimir, which is not easy in that type of market with the Canadian dollar. We all know how the economics work. So for them to just literally put everything in there and say, you know what, this is our team, let's go after it, and face the Dodgers in the World Series, that really, really makes it a different level now. Because you got Ohtani, you got 30 million people watching the games in Japan. You got, we got a whole U.S. market and the Canadian market. So that gives great exposure, and it's huge for baseball in Canada. And for me, like everybody's asking me, who do you want to win? I bleed blue. This is my country, so there's no news for me. I'm just excited to see a great baseball game. And to me, baseball in Canada is huge. I mean, we lost the team already. So for me to see the Jays in the World Series, it's very, very, very cool for me, because we need this. We need it because baseball is such a beautiful sport. We need to grow it, and I think that's only going to help.
I will say hockey, I'm starting to understand hockey. I don't fully understand it. I jokingly call it ice soccer because it's a lot of the same rules, right, with offsides and stuff like that.
Except that you can hit people. Just
Yes.
chase a puck and go hit people.
Yeah. And like my wife, who doesn't like sports, she thinks that all this stuff that I do with sports is dumb because she just finds sport, and that's fine, right? Like she thinks sports are dumb. She really likes hockey because people can fight each other, and so that's the one way I can get her in, right? But the other thing that I respect about like hockey players and like you said, kind of like that blue collar aspect of Canada, because Canada is a great country. I love visiting there. Everyone's super nice. Toronto is a great town. If you've never been to Toronto, I highly suggest you go. It's a great town. It's like New York City, but like cleaner, I guess is the best way to put it.
The New Yorkers are not going to like that. New York
No.
City is a great city.
Great city.
Toronto is a little baby New York.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same vibe, right? In the sense of like when you go, because when you think Canada, you're like, this is not what I'm thinking about Canada, right? But they're rabid sports fans. I worked with a guy that they're Toronto fans, and that when they were in the series last year, they were dropping everything and going and hiding and watching the games, and they'd come back so sad, right? When they lost and when they got eliminated, right? But for them, hockey is everything. And then when you kind of think about baseball, they've had a lot of really good baseball players come out of Canada. Larry Walker, yourself, Russell Martin, like they've had, you know, kind of a good nucleus of guys that have come out of there that are no schmucks, right?
You
But
can,
they're
you
also
can say it. You can say it.
but they're also really good hockey players too, right? And so, you know, the whole two-way thing is important, but most importantly, they're really intense fans. And I don't mean intense in a bad way. Like they know what they want. And so the reason I bring that up is you talk about Dodger fan, right? Who is all about going out and getting the best dudes, right? And they thankfully they re-upped Vladdy when they did, because if they would have waited, holy shit, that guy would have got paid more. But they have the future is very bright for the Blue Jays, very bright for the Blue, and good for them, right? You know, and so with all that said, if let's just say the Blue Jays do in fact win the World Series, I still think this is going to go 7 now, but I believe blue just like you, and I always will. But I love good baseball, and I'm here for it. But let's say they win the World Series. What is that going to do for that franchise, and what's that going to do for Canadian baseball now?
Hey, it's putting baseball on the map. It's putting the Blue Jays on the map, at least in Canada, and it's huge. I mean, I don't want to say that if they win, it's going to change everything. You still got to put a good product. You still got to spend money. You still got to perform. I mean, being a World Series 1 year doesn't define you as a dynasty. The Dodgers are a dynasty. They've proven this in the last 10, 12, 15 years almost. And they spent a lot of money. I mean, Magic Johnson's group, that's what it's all about. They want to win. They spend the money. They go get the best players. They understand the culture. And that's what I think the Blue Jays have been trying to do. The Dodger culture, Dodger baseball, everybody's trying to mimic that. You know, it's not easy to do. It takes a long time, and you got to sacrifice. There's guys that come and goes, but the nucleus of players, I think that the guys like Vladimir, the Bichettes of the world, these guys understand. They starting to understand what it takes to win, the sacrifices you have to do for the team, and how to work together. And, it's Canada's team. Let's not forget, this is a big deal over there. I mean, we have one team, and LA is a huge deal, but it's in LA. It's not like it's all over. It's not to kid ourselves. Shoei is worldwide, but it's big. It's very big. I mean, for the youth sports, for all the kids that are watching on TV, they're gaining fans every day. I'm looking on my social media now, especially with social media, like you talked about earlier. The exposure of the game is all over. You can reach, fan base that we've never been able to do now. So it's going to be huge for baseball. It's going to be big for the youth sports in Canada, youth baseball in Canada. And, I can't ask any better than that. It's just, a great team playing against an amazing franchise of Dodgers and going after each other like I've never seen before. It's one of the greatest World Series ever that I've watched. So it's huge. I mean, I used to watch baseball. I used to watch the Expos. I used to dream about being on the mound at Olympic Stadium and get the last out in the World Series and celebrate with my fans and my family. That's what makes it so special, because those kids will be able to think, hey, I want to call it a Sky Dome, but let's go call it Rogers Center. And just that makes them dream. And that's what it's all about. I mean, we all want to be, Gary Carter. We all want to be Joe Carter. We all want to be Shohei Ohtani. That makes kids dream. And that's what it's all about. I mean, you want to dream, you want to picture yourself in a Dodger uniform or a Blue Jay uniform. and winning the World Series and kissing that trophy.
Eric Gagne here for a couple more minutes. Before I go into the unguaranteed prediction part of this show, I wanted to ask you Yamamoto's going tonight, and I think Yamamoto is insane postseason, right? Like I think when this World Series is done, it's kind of going to be like your accolades, or like what Aaron Rodgers did in football for that period of time where his interception rate was insane, and you don't really look at that stuff until it's kind of over, right? I think this World Series is going to go down as one of the better World Series that we've seen in a really long time, just because of kind of everything with it, right? But I think that the unsung hero that quietly has kind of gone out and elevated himself to like another notch, if you will, is Yoshinobu Yamamoto, because he's pitched 2 complete games, one of them in the World Series. He's just been dealing. He was willing to come in and during that 18-inning marathon, and I figured he wasn't going to because it's going to take him a little longer to get ready, right? But the fact that he's willing to kind of die on that hill, if you will, of like, yeah, whatever the team needs, let's go. And I think, and he said it himself in a quote, that he kind of sees kind of the landscape of everything, sees what Kershaw is, and he wants to be a notch above that. And Kershaw is probably the best left-handed pitcher we have ever seen. Like there's an argument to be made.
I agree.
So for someone to say that they want to be a notch above that kind of tells you where he kind of sees himself. Talk to us about how special what Yoshi has done this postseason, because I feel like that's being kind of the lead is being buried because of everything else.
Yeah, I can't put it into words. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you keep asking yourself, how does he do that? I mean, for him to go out there, and let's not forget, that's a huge asset to have. For him to go out there and say, I want to pitch, I'm ready to warm up, sacrifice himself to the team. That's what it's all about. That's why guys like Kershaw being in the clubhouse, that's you can't quantify this. You can't quantify having Kershaw on the mound, or not on the mound, but in the clubhouse with you or talking to you. This is what creating a culture is all about. Kersh is sacrificing himself for the team many, 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 many times over. And that's what it's all about, man. I think that's what Yamamoto is doing. Of course, on the mound, what he's doing it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just going 2 complete games in the playoffs. And I was with Oral Hershiser yesterday. And no, it's you can't put it into words. It's tough. It's high leverage situation, and they're tight ball game. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out tonight. How his fastball comes out, his control. I felt like he wasn't really on early the last complete game early. He felt like he was nibbling a little bit, and he just zoned in, and he really took off from there. The first couple innings were a little bit shaky, and he just he locked in. And that, we keep talking about the pitchers and everything. We got to talk about Will Smith, the way he's handling the pitchers too, because it's not easy. I mean, 18 innings, he goes out there every single day. He's got to call those pitches. He's got to stay sharp mentally all the time, because he's got one pitcher on the mound, but it's a revolving door. He's got to stay on top of his game mentally, and he's got to hit. So, I mean, we got to, that's why the beautiful part about the communication, or the relationship with the pitcher and the catcher, that's what it's all about. And they trust him. He trusted them. And that's why you see such a good fluidity in the pitching. I think that's why when you have good understanding what you're trying to do, and the catcher's doing the same thing, there's no doubt not the fingers anymore, the button push or the right button. It's that's what it's all about. And you can tell, like, he's got no hesitation. He's got huge confidence, and it's fun to watch, because for me, I want the Dodgers. I would like to see the Dodgers, win tonight and go 7 games. That'd be amazing. But just to have this guy on the mound, that's just a big plus, because I think it's going to be very hard to hit him. He feels confident, and he's going to go out there. If he can attack the zone early, not nibble too much, and he's going to be very, very tough to hit. But, a team that can actually beat him is the Blue Jays. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing game tonight.
Great point by you about Will Smith, because if we go back to that game, the Blue Jays pulled Alejandro Kirk, and they brought in another guy to catch, and that's a big ask, to ask a guy to catch 18 innings, to hit, to catch that many pitchers. That's a giant ask, and to your point, Will Smith has called a hell of a series. Like, you can't really, it was funny. John Smoltz says before Blake Snell throws the first pitch, hey, that he needs to establish his fastball gun, right? And so it's, but I mean, he wasn't wrong, right? Because Blake Snell in game 1 didn't have his fastball. And but the impressive part was not only did Will Smith call a great game, but he also held those guys to 2 runs. Considering you didn't have fastball command, there's nothing more you can ask from your starting pitchers, right?
Mm-hmm. No, it's exactly. I mean, he understood. He recognized what he's got going today. And each inning, I mean, each pitcher, you got to adjust your. Is he feeling his curveball? Is he feeling his changeup? Is he throwing his fastball in certain location that he's desired? That's what it's all about, and he has to recognize that. It's not just you do the scouting report early, you have a plan and everything, but the game plan changes every pitch. I mean, after the first pitch, he's like, okay, what's up with that? And he could have done that and fly out, and no one would be talking about it because it would be a great pitch. But sometimes it just happens where you make a good pitch and they're ready for it, they jump on it. So you got to tip your hat. But that's what Will Smith's job is, to be a psychologist back there. Say, hey, we got this, relax. And he was able to get him through. I think did he go 7 innings? I think.
Yeah.
Just for him to go 7 innings, give up 3 runs only after the 2 home runs to start with. He had to stay on it mentally, and I think that's what Will Smith's job was, to keep him focused, keep him. It's okay. We're gonna come back. We got your back, and that didn't turn out that way, but that's exactly what you're trying to accomplish as a reliever. As a catcher, you want to make sure that your starters stay focused, and the relievers, same thing. You have a different reliever. You have 3 or 4 or 5 different relievers every night. You got to be on. You got to make sure that they know what they want to throw. What are they? What's working today? What's working in this at bat, and make that adjustment. That's what he's been doing so well.
So going into tonight, Game 6, tomorrow, Game 7, because there is going to be 7 games. I'm willing that into existence. With that said, what adjustments do the Dodgers need to make tonight, and what is your prediction for tonight?
I mean, the adjustment is just situational hitting. I mean, just go out there. They haven't hit much. The upside is they've been struggling as the team, as a hitting team right now. It's just a matter of time. Now they just got to be patient. Be patient. Wait for your pitch. Make sure that you make the guy come to you instead of attacking. Don't get too anxious. Stay within the game plan. Don't try to do too much. I think when you start doing too much, a guy like Mookie right now is pressing a little bit. You can tell he might be tired, maybe a couple injuries here and there. Just start over. I mean, all you need to do your job and go out there. If there's a man on first, no out, make sure he gets to second base. That's all you really can control. I mean, those guys out there, you're savage throughout there. You can say, hey, we got to hit. Yeah, but this guy's pitching his A game going. It's not easy. So you just got to stay within the game plan. Just be patient and understand who you are. You're the Dodgers. You got you got all-stars. You got Hall of Famers right now in this lineup. So you just got to trust it. You got to go out there and really stay positive. Trust that you know what to do in their certain times, and they know that. So that's why, guys like Dave Rod, they're not going to panic. They know what they can do. I mean, a guy like Muncy, they've been through it a lot. Freeman, all these guys, and you just go up and down the lineup. They know they can hit. So now it's about not panicking. It's about just doing what you're supposed to do. Quality at bats, patient. Those little mistakes that the Blue Jays, we talked about, the Blue Jays been capitalizing on it. That's what you need to do. When there's a man on first and second, no out, get the guy over, get both guys over. That's your job. And those little things will make you win ball games. I know it's cliche, it's boring, it's not the baseball we're used to, but that in this situation, that's what they need to do. And I think if they stick to this, they have a really good chance with Yamamoto to go to the 7th game.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Gagne, one of the best closers to ever do it. One of the best nicknames in all of sports. Game over. Like I told you before we started recording, if your daughter ever gets picked up to go to a dance, I really hope the kid that picks her up, comes in and says, "Hello, Mr. Game Over. I'm here to pick up your daughter."
I'll be a little bit nicer to him if he does that.
Where for all the people that don't know, you're a great follow on social media. Where can the people follow you?
Well, Eric Gagne 38 on Instagram. That's kind of what I'm a little bit. I'm gonna get a little bit more active, but I stay off it right now. But I'm curious guy on social media. But I'll post a couple things here and there. Eric Gagne 38 on Instagram.
Go follow him, like I'm about to. Eric, if you're around, would love to follow up with you after the series to see if any of this stuff that we yapped about came true. Because hopefully that means they not only made it to Game 7. Well, actually, here, let me do what everyone used to do in the clubhouse. When they got to Game 7 and they clinched it and then they kissed the trophy, then we can talk about it a little bit more.
We'll see about that. I mean, I think it's going to be an amazing game tonight. And Game 7, if it happens, I'm going to be watching every single pitch. And hopefully, whoever wins, I'll be on. If you let me know, I'll be back on it.
Eric Gagne, as always, thank you for your time. Again, this is West Coast Bias presented by Baseball Isn't Boring. Joe Kelly and friends, we're on a mission to prove everyone that baseball isn't boring. Hopefully myself and Eric Gagne do that for you today. If you're not following us, go subscribe. Baseball Isn't Boring on YouTube, Twitter, the whole thing. My name is Alonso Sarinana, and I will catch you down the road.